Hey blockheads, this is DJ AK from NK Airplay Radio, and if you love what the My So-Called Whatever podcast crew is doing, check us out too. NK Airplay is an online radio station playing all your favorite hits from the 80s and 90s, especially the ones from those boys in the band, New Kids on the Block. Listen to artists like Boys to Men, Debbie Gibson, Tiffany, boy bands, girl bands, and many more. We play artists that are associated with or who inspired the New Kids on the Block, plus some of the artists that inspired us while we were growing up. Check us out on social media at NK Airplay Radio. And download the Live 365 app for your iPhone or Android phone and listen today.
Friends forever, that's what we are. Through the thick and the thin, we're friendship stars. We're banger main buddies from the days of old. We laugh, cry, and hug, friendship solid gold. My so-called whatever started a year ago. We share our stories and your stories were told. 80s, 90s memories that give us glee. And on the block party shows, NKOTB. Now our friendship circle has grown by far. Hashtag friends forever, that's what we all are. Boom. And if you don't know, now you know. My so-called whatever for life. Hashtag MSCW. Hashtag friends forever. Yeah. Yeah.
So we are social distancing.
Yeah, we are.
Brooke is at her house and I am at mine. And I miss you so much, Brooke. I haven't seen you in 3 weeks, and it was 4 weeks. It's been 4 weeks. And
no, it's been 3.
It's been 3?
Wait.
How long has it been since?
No.
It's been 4 weeks.
It's been 4. Wait. Hold on. I'm like so confused right now.
No, it's been 4 weeks. It's been almost 4 weeks. It will be 4 weeks in just a couple days.
Oh, right, because it was Saturday. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 weeks.
This is the longest I think we've gone. Well, maybe not. Because like back in the day before the podcast, we'd go a little while without seeing each other. But we've seen each other every single week for how many years?
Much
almost
for
3.
A long time. Yeah.
So I miss you.
Holy crap. Almost 3 years? Like, what the heck?
I know.
God.
I can't believe it.
Crazy.
I was looking at stuff the other day and I'm just like, wow, our 3-year anniversary is coming right up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. That's nuts. I don't get it. I don't really get it, but time goes
by so fast. Time goes by fast when you're having fun, except when you're in quarantine.
So I just want to say real quick, to anyone listening, thank you so much for your, love and thoughts and prayers and all that stuff from the past 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It's been 3 weeks and 1 day. And it's been a really, 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 really hard 3 weeks. But just knowing that there's people that care has really helped a lot. And I appreciate that.
Well, we love
you. That's all.
So.
That's all. But thank you. Thank you.
So our episode tonight is exciting. We love her. She's awesome. Her name is Elle. And we're excited to have her on as a special guest tonight.
We are thrilled. Stories for days.
Oh my gosh. We didn't even break the surface.
Nope.
I don't think.
Nope.
So I'm excited for you guys to hear this. It was awesome. I love having special guests on. It's fun.
It is fun. Oh, also, I'm sorry, real quick. I just want to give shout outs to Dawn and Charlene and Maria and Jackie for coming on in my absence.
Yeah.
You girls are amazing. Thank you so much.
Yes.
You are awesome.
And people like the special guest, so maybe we'll just continue. So I think that might be fun. And it seems to work.
And if Joey McIntyre wants to come on,
oh my gosh, Joey, if you want to come on, please,
just say the word.
Do us
just
the pleasure.
Say the word.
Do us the pleasure. That sounds really weird.
That does sound weird.
Do us the honor of your of you coming on our podcast, because that would be awesome.
That's perfect. Yes, the honor.
Yeah. So without further ado, here's Elle and
our latest episode. NDA.
Yay!
Are you recording now?
I am.
Oh, perfect. Okay. All right. Here we go. Whoa. This is Brooke.
And this is Nikki.
And this is Elle.
Yay! And this is my so-called whatever.
Yes.
Welcome to the block party.
We ain't leaving out nobody, especially
Elle.
Because she's here.
She's here.
Today. Yay!
Yay!
She's here all the way from the West Coast.
Right.
Virtually.
Right.
We're all virtual because we are social distancing.
That's right. Brooke is at her house. I am at my house. And Elle is at her house. So we're doing our part.
We are.
Yes.
It's the best we can do.
It is.
Oh, I am so sorry. That was like a big yawn, and I didn't mean to do that. I am so sorry, you guys. Like,
yeah, you're keeping it real.
Hey, you're fine. But on lighter news, happier news, we were able to have.
We can use some.
We've had a couple like cool things that have happened this week. Well, one, we had the New Kids on the Block live that was on Saturday.
Always fun.
Yes.
That was super fun.
Yes. And I'm like, I really like it when they do stuff like that, because I feel like we get to see their, like the side of them that we don't see very often. It's almost like watching a documentary.
No, it is. It's like
Dean
personal.
Jordan's son was amazing.
Yes.
For real.
Was like that little like 10 seconds like really warmed my heart. Yes. When he was totally like waved over to him and was like, come here. And then he came on the camera and I was like, oh my God, it's like, he's like a father. Oh my gosh, I could forget about that part.
Yes,
you know?
No, totally.
Right. He's such a private person.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very human, and it was really cool to see.
Yeah.
Especially as a Jordan girl. I really appreciated that. Thank you, Jordan.
Yeah, thank you, Jordan.
I think we're also used to seeing like Danny and Donnie and even sometimes Joe, that it's kind of nice to see them all together and to kind of, it shows their commitment to, being a group. And and some people are like, I'm fine just seeing Donnie, but most people want to see the New Kids on the Block, not just one person. You know what I mean?
Right.
For
sure. And I was super excited just for all of them to participate, because I honestly wasn't sure, even though they said all 5, I really wasn't sure all 5 were going to participate. And for them to do
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just wasn't. I don't know. I was just like, well, maybe they'll try really hard to get all 5 of them to come. But, people are busy. And then for them to do it twice, I was like, okay, that was fantastic. That's
nobody's busy right now.
Yeah.
Maybe John.
That's true. But yeah, so we had that, and then we had the announcement that Donnie made, like with a picture.
Yeah.
What was on it? In the corner?
Transformers, right? Is that what those are? Transformers? What are those little things?
But at the bottom,
I saw like little cartoon characters.
And then there was some letters.
Oh,
I didn't see that.
See it?
No. Oh, okay, hold on.
I'm not gonna lie. Haley's the one that told me. She pointed it out to me and sent me a picture. But if you look at it,
did it say like? Yeah, tell me. Okay.
KOTB, Boys to Men, Big Frida, Naughty by Nature, and one more, something JG, which I can't think of what that is. Maybe Johnny Gill.
What?
You guys didn't see that? I'm so
no.
That I told you.
Oh my gosh, I had no idea.
Oh my God. Okay.
Do you see it?
I'm looking right now because I need to go and see it.
Mm-hmm. So guys, bring up your picture and take a look. See if you can see it.
Wait. Yeah, JG is the only one I don't know. So I'm assuming maybe maybe Johnny Gill. That's all I can think
of. Okay. Yeah. So I don't understand.
So it sounds like a collaboration of whatever it is that he's been working on, maybe with them, with those artists.
That is so cool.
I'm so much more excited now.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I did not see
fun.
that. And Haley, you are a sleuth. I like the way you work.
She really is.
Haley's the best. she sees it all.
Oh my gosh. So fun. Now we have something else to look. It's good to have these things to look forward to because it definitely makes the time, you know what I mean? Like something keep on getting those things to look forward to. We have Fenway to look forward to. So that's good too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
far the karaoke, Donnie and Jenny's karaoke has been my favorite.
That's right. That? You were on the karaoke.
Oh my gosh.
I totally missed it. I totally missed it. I
may or may not have had a drink or 2 or 10. I was feeling very outgoing.
Oh my gosh.
No, but you did amazing.
Thank you. It was really fun.
And Jenny was like, she was all about you.
She's like, I want to be your friend. I was like, oh. She was like, I want to get your number. I was dying.
Oh my gosh.
And then Donnie called my boyfriend, my husband, and so all of my friends were texting me like, "You got married and didn't invite me," and like we were all like, we were still laughing about it for like 3 days.
But you guys were on pretty late at night. It was like I think like 3 or 4 o'clock our time, right?
Oh, probably, yeah.
Yeah, because you were on like 1 o'clock or so. Actually, it'd be more like 4. But I usually try to stay up, but. That was an all-nighter. That was a late night one.
For sure.
Yes.
My boyfriend said I fell asleep with the phone next to me because I was still trying to like watch it.
Oh my gosh. That's so much fun. Like these are the things that we're going to remember about all of this in the future is like all these fun things that kept us going. So
have you guys been listening to D Nice?
Yes. Yes.
So dope.
Yep. I went for a walk the other day. My husband and I did, and we listened to him like as we were walking. So that was nice. But it's definitely something you can just turn it right on and immediately you're like, okay, this is good. This makes me feel like I'm...
My non-New Kids friends keep messaging me like, D-Nice just played New Kids on the Block, which they obviously don't know the backstory. So I'm like, I know. And they're like, that's crazy. And I'm like, you got to know the backstory and his relationship with Donnie. And the reason that, I mean, I've always liked D-Nice. And like, it's so funny because so many people had never even heard of him. And I was like, what? I'm like, you don't know. My name is D-Nice. And I like to admit it. Taking out your suckers and you don't know how I did it. It's like literally like the greatest like song from the 90s. But yeah, so a lot of people didn't know who he was. And it's funny. It's just crazy how much it's like opened up. And like all these like house music DJs have been listening. And obviously, you know, blockheads and people that would have probably otherwise not have listened to his, you know, him and his music and his vibe. And it's just so dope. But I didn't realize he was on the West Coast because I was like, why is it still light outside? And I just found out apparently he moved to downtown LA like right before all this happened.
Oh, wow.
I thought he was in Miami.
I did too.
But he's in some high rise downtown. I'm trying to figure out what that bubble is behind him. So I'm going to get to the bottom of it.
Take a picture and show it, like text it to us. Say,
yeah, I'm going to go like next time I go to my office downtown, I'm going to like go try to find that big bubble and figure out what it is.
Oh my gosh. So my first introduction to Elle was when I have to tell this story was the best night. Because I had turned on, like, I was just like trying to go to sleep and I'm on Instagram Live and someone's filming Joey at Hollywood Nights. And I was like, oh, this is fantastic. Like, look at this. This is like being in the front row. And all of a sudden the phone goes down and the person that's behind the phone is like on stage all of a sudden. And it was Elle. He brought her up on stage for her birthday and sang to her. It was amazing. And I was just blown away. I was like texting Brooke and saying, "Oh my gosh, you gotta watch this. It's so crazy. Joey's singing to this person." And she was taking it, she was doing an Instagram live, and like all of a sudden now she's on stage. And it was
I remember watching that and thinking like, that is like, that's crazy. It's like being there.
Yes.
I love it.
And it was awesome that whoever took your phone afterwards like filmed it so we could like, and
no, it was leaning on like the candle that was like on the table, like you go to and so when I went to go, well, so I had already seen the show. That was like the third time I'd been there, so I would like take potty break and smoke break and whatever, where most people wouldn't leave their seat, but I'm like, I've already seen it, so it's not that big of a deal. But I had been going every week and getting him and E-Man shots, and so shots of tequila. And so on that day, I was kind of like, all right, like I've seen this, like they're gonna do their little shtick and whatever. So I was like, I'll go to the bathroom, have a cigarette, come back, get some drinks, whatever. So I went to the bathroom and had a cigarette, and I came back and got drinks, and then a girl that I apologize, I don't remember her name, but she sent me the video of before when I had left, that Joe was like, "Where's Elle?" And he was like, "What happened? Is she okay?" And that's when he took my chair. So when I came back with the drinks, he was like, "Oh no." So obviously other people had started to, as the weeks went by, buy him shots of tequila. So he was like, "Oh no, those are not for us. Like we can't do any more shots."
Yeah.
And then he was just like, "Is that for you?" And he's like, "How about this? Put it down and come up here." It was just so like organic, and I'm not like a Joey girl, and but it was for me literally like a dream come true. And I've been a fan since I was 16 years old, and while I feel like sometimes they remember certain things, I definitely don't think it was like, I mean, he asked me that night, what, like, "Oh, I should probably know your name by now. You've been in the front row every week." So it was like, it kind of like progressed where I think it was like, it was what we all want. Like I got noticed. It's like he noticed, like, okay, this chick's a fan. Like she's down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it felt very dream come true-ish and whatnot. And then I harmonized like one song with him, and he was like, "Whoa, oh, okay." And then when I tried to do it again, I totally messed up. And he's like, "All right, well, the first one was better." I'm like, "I know." I'm like, "I'm a little nervous, sorry." So
oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was really awesome. And that was kind of my come to Jesus moment of like the blockhead world, because I was so surprised how many people reached out with videos and pictures and were like adding me and finding me on like social media and being like, "I'm so happy for you." And there were a couple of haters like there.
Sure.
And I just kind of was like, really? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I'm
like,
want for like everybody to have. Like, I just
right.
I don't get it.
Yeah,
I never get it.
There's a handful of people that are never going to be happy for anyone else.
Right.
But it was very minimal. It was way bigger. And that's when I started kind of like chatting with you online, and Charlene and Mandy and Risa and Joy and Leah and all these people who are now like such a big like part of my life. And especially like the local girls that I see all the time and have become really close with. And that was kind of the moment, because it was like everybody either saw it or was there, or, you know what I mean? So that was really, really probably like the probably greatest moment in my new kid's life, I think.
Well, I'm so glad that I got to witness it, because it was amazing. I just had the biggest smile on my face, and I can remember my husband was in bed and he's like, "What are you giggling about?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this girl's just on stage, like, and Joey's singing to her. I just watch it."
It was so cool that it was filming. I mean, that was like just totally meant to be.
Mm-hmm. It was so awesome. And whenever I think of you, I think of that moment. And that's when I was like, and when we started talking, I'm like, this chick is pretty amazing. Like, I can't wait to meet her. So we got a chance to meet you. You came up to us and you were...
Was it in Boston?
No, it was in New York.
Okay.
Yeah.
We were outside of Wahlburgers in New York it was the night before the Apollo show.
Apollo.
And you were way cooler than we could ever imagine because you were so nice to us. And you came right up to us and you're like, are you Nikki and Brooke? And I was like, are you Elle? So
I remember that. Oh my gosh.
That was so cool. And we immediately, I was like, because you had the rose and you extended the rose to us. And after that, it was like we kept seeing you because you were our next door neighbors on the cruise.
Right.
So that was pretty cool. So it's been just like getting to know you and hearing your stories and how much fun you've had. And just, I love it. And I'm so glad that you agreed to come on the podcast because everybody else is going to love it and love you too.
Oh, it's really funny because, you know, I mean, like I said, I've been a fan since I was like 16. So my first New Kids concert, do you remember Dino when Dino opened for them?
I don't remember when he opened for them, but I remember Dino.
I remember Dino.
So Romeo, right?
That was like 1989.
Okay.
I think, or 88 or 89. And I went to the concert at the Forum, and some like cheesy dude comes up to me and is like, the opening act is going to sing to a girl. Would you like to be the girl he sings to on stage? And I was like, excuse me?
Oh my
I was
God.
like, sure. So sure enough, and basically I said, yeah, can I meet New Kids? And the guy's like, yeah, of course. So I was like, oh my God, this is like amazing, blah, blah, blah. And I don't think I'd ever met them at this point yet. I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure I hadn't. And then, so basically the guy comes and gets me, you know, takes me on stage. Dino was like sweaty and buff and like not.
I remember what he looked like.
I don't want to say bad things, but let's just say for like a 16-year-old, it was not that exciting. It was a little creepy. So I got sang to, and then the guy was like, oh yeah, the manager's like, just meet me right here after the show. So I was like beside myself. My girlfriend and I were like squealing, and we were like so excited. And anyway, long story short, after the show, I start like, oh, do you know where Dino's manager is? Like, he's supposed to take me backstage. Like, you know, total typical 16-year-old, like, no clue. Like, you just got played, you know? And so this went on till basically almost like the arena was completely empty. And, like, literally, like, 20 security guards were like, you have to go. You have to go. And I'm like, no. And I'm making things up and saying I have tickets at the Forum Club. And, I mean, I was just, like, making up all this stuff. So I go walk. I'm like, I'm going to try one more thing. And my girlfriend's like so mad. And she's the one driving. And she's like, oh my God, can we please go? So I'm like, I want to try one more thing. So I go up the stairs. I asked the security guard something. And the lady was like super rude to me and was like, you need to leave and go turn around and get out of here. I'm not going to ask you again or like something. So I just started bawling. And I like turned around and there was, I guess, like a spill on the floor. And I completely ate shit and fell down the whole stairs of like the whole like loge level, like all the way down. So I'm like bawling. The security and everyone comes running out. I'm like hysterical. They're like, "What do you need? Like, are you okay? Do you want to go to?" And I was just like, "No." And then I could see like now that I look back at it in hindsight, they were like freaked out because I had just fallen and I was like crying and they're like, oh my God, like lawsuit. You know what I mean?
Right.
So all of a sudden, Maurice Starr comes out.
What?
And he walks over and he's like, is everything okay? And I'm like, like total like bawling, crying. And my girlfriend's like sitting with her hand. She was like a little more mature than I was. So she was literally looking at me like, what, like, you're embarrassing me, you know?
Right.
And so Maury Star, like, picks me up and sits me down on one of the seats, and he's like, you seem really upset. Are you hurt? And I'm like, no. And he's like, well, can you tell me, like, what you want? And I was like, I want me no kids. And I, like, start bawling. And he's like, all right, come on. And literally, I was like, what? And he's like, come on. And I told him the whole story about Dino's manager telling me and blah, 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 and everything. And I don't know if he was just walking by and saw me or if someone went and got him. I don't know what happened. But so I'm like, okay, can my friend come? And he's like, no. And I'm like, oh, wait, hold on. I got to grab my camera. He's like, no cameras. And I'm like, okay. And we didn't have cell phones. So I told my friend, like, I'll meet you at the car. Like, I didn't know what to do. So I had no purse, no pen, no cell phone, no nothing. And he, like, walks me into this room, and Donnie and Jordan are sitting on a couch, and John's on the floor, and then Danny and Joe are nowhere to be found. So I'm like, okay. And he walks in and he's like, hey guys, he's like, this girl loves you, and closes the door. And they all literally turn around and look at me and look at each other. Danny walks out of the bathroom with a towel on.
Oh my God.
And then Joe comes out of, like, the bathroom. I forgot what he was saying, but he said something, like, funny or sarcastic, like, as he was walking out. And they all just stood there and stared at me. And I was like, oh my God. And then Jordan was like, he's like, hi, what's your name? And I was like, whatever. So long story short, that was when I learned to never give new kids anything as a kid, because there were literally, like, packages, boxes, teddy bears, presents, like, shoes, everything, like, in a pile in the corner.
Oh my God.
That they had, like, no intention of looking at or taking or anything. It was just literally piles and piles of, like, gifts from fans. And so I was like really, like, devastated. Like, oh my God, like, all these fans did this and they, like, are gonna leave it here, you know? So they were like, do you want us to sign something? And I'm like, I don't have anything to sign. So I had these purple suede boots. And I remember Jordan was like, oh, you want me to sign the purple suede boots? And so we always, like, joke around about that, because he signed them. And then, of course, like an idiot, I wore them all the time. So you can barely see the signature, very faint. But I did wear them on Purple Night on the cruise.
No way.
So, like,
awesome.
So, like, they're like the slouchy, like, 80s suede pointy boots.
Yes.
So that was like the first time that I met them. So it was my first New Kids concert, and the first time I met them, and I met all of them. And I think Jordan signed a piece of paper too, from, like, a shoebox or, like, a cardboard box. And they were all super nice, and kind of really confused as to how I, like, was there and why. They didn't really ask any questions. I think that Maury Star kind of gave him the, like, you need to do this, you know?
Oh my God.
So yeah, so that was my first experience. And then, we had I don't know if you guys ever came to LA back. Oh, you're younger than me. I keep forgetting. But when I was in high school, they would stay at the Bellage Hotel, which is now the London West Hollywood. And there was I don't know if you ever heard the wall behind Oz. So it was like a wall, and the Blockheads basically they weren't Blockheads there, but they were New Kids fans. They took over this wall, and you could see right into the hotel lobby. And so the wall was just, like, graffitied, like, New Kids, blah, blah, blah. There was paparazzi there, and they would come to the wall and, like, say hi to people and whatever. And then as things progressed, we started to, like, get hotel rooms and, like, get people to, like, rent the hotel rooms for us. And, like, 10 of us would stay in a room. But yeah, so we were very active in the hotel, happenings back then at 16, 17, 18. I graduated from high school and then went straight to the hotel because they were in town.
Oh wow.
And so I have a picture wearing my, like, blazer from, like, graduation. But yeah, so we spent a lot of time at that hotel. We met a lot of people, and it's funny because I meet people now, and they're like, "I was at the Village," and they were like, "Were you friends with so and so?" And then they'd be like, "Oh my god, that was you!" And so
that's crazy.
Really funny. Yeah, that was like a big thing for LA. Like if you went to the wall at the Village, it was called the Wall. But we had some pretty amazing memories there as kids.
That's really cool. So is the wall still there? Like, was it like a permanent thing that was there and then they just like took it
No,
over?
the wall's still there. It's like from the parking lot from Oz to the London now, but it's not, but back then it was always like written on by fans. But
That's
yeah,
cool.
so the wall's still there.
That's really neat. Oh my gosh. See, we missed all of that. We missed all of that awesome before, like when they were in their like
prime.
Their prime, yeah.
Yeah.
And we missed that.
Yeah, we were young.
Yeah.
Like my mom took me to my first New Kids concert.
Right.
I was
yeah.
10.
Oh, right.
Like, which was awesome. Like that was still awesome. But it was different because I was with my mom.
Right. Well, it's funny
and I was
because
10.
I, as a kid, I went to maybe 5 or 6 concerts, which for a teenager is a lot.
That is a lot, yeah.
Yeah, for real.
But then when they reunited, I went through a lot of phases. So it was like all new kids, and then when they reunited, I was really into like hip hop and R&B, and was like a huge, like I went from New Kids to basically being like a huge like Boyz II Men fan, and Jodeci, and I'd go to all those concerts and stuff like that. And then when they reunited, nobody wanted to go. It's like everybody was like, "Oh yeah, no, did I?" So they played this teeny tiny venue called Ventura, which is like an hour from here, and I couldn't find anyone to go, and I ended up, and I bought a ticket, and I still have the little ticket stub, and I went to that Ventura theater, and I swear there were 40, 50 people there.
Oh my god!
So it's funny, like when Donnie said on the cruise, like, "Oh, remember in 1994, you guys forgot about us or whatever," and I was like, "I was there," yeah. And it was like they were playing these tiny little like theaters in, Ventura for us is pretty, it's not big city, so it's like little tiny, cities and whatnot. But yeah, so I did that, and then after that, when all the new boy bands came out, I was like, nah, not doing like I'm not interested at all. Which is funny because when you interviewed Joey Fatone, and he said hi to me, and all these people were like, "How do you know Joey?" So it's funny, I met Joey, but I was not an NSYNC fan. I didn't really know anything. I mean, I knew a couple of their songs, but I couldn't tell you like a Backstreet Boy from a NSYNCer back then. And so I actually became friends with Joey first, and he was like, "Oh, so you don't like our music?" And I was like, "No, sorry." I'm all new kids. I'm all New Kids or whatever. And I was like, "Yeah, I like a couple songs and whatever." So he invited me to a show. So my first experience with NSYNC was like, they used to have those, remember the sound check parties, and the meet and greets were like, you got to take a picture with all of them. And so those were my first like experiences. And then as I went, I got really, really, really like into it, but it was like a totally different experience from being like a teenager. I mean, I was 25 at the time. So like, I traveled, I did all this stuff. So it's very different experiences from going to your, first concert at 10 or going to your first concert at 25. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, we were older too. We were in our 20s when when we were all, so it was, again, it wasn't like the same as it would have been if we were teenagers, like your age, like 16,
for sure,
going to a New Kids on the Block concert, because that's what we all that's what we always wanted. Like we wanted to be older so we could have those experiences, and then when we weren't able to have them, it's like, well, great, why do they, when are they coming back? And honestly,
Right.
it's always a when are they coming back? And
really? See, I never thought in a million years that they would get back together.
Well,
ever.
I mean, for a little while, like in the late night, like what was it, 94, 95 that they.
Oh yeah, when they did
Yeah.
the
I
Dirty
mean,
Dog.
like,
Yeah.
I mean, like a couple
Face
years.
music. I mean.
Yeah, and then it was like, okay, it's not going to happen. And then
Right.
especially with the what was the thing they did? They all
Bands reunited
and they were like, absolutely not. Like they weren't gonna get back together. So it was just like they're never getting back together. So when they reunited in 2000, what was it, 2007 or 2008?
2008, yeah.
I was like, that's it. This was meant to be, and I'm going to attend every single concert and everything I can get my hands on because this is what I wanted all along. So,
well, when they first got back together, it's kind of the same thing. It's like my friends that I was doing stuff with were now like married or didn't have kids, didn't like them. So we would go to a concert or I would usually plan a trip with like a non-New Kids friend to Vegas and then be like, I'll buy your ticket and let's go. Or I'd get tickets like because I gamble, so I would like get them from the casino for free, and they'd be like bad seats or whatever. And my friend, I don't know if you know Barbie Tomasino.
No, I don't think so.
No.
She used to like cruise and do stuff. The last couple of years, she hasn't really done a lot. She's been focusing on family and career and stuff. But she was telling me about these like ultimates and the meet and greets, and I met her through NSYNC, and so
oh my gosh.
so I was like, that's so crazy that you that there's like people pay $1,000 to like take a picture with them. I'm like, that's crazy. I met them a million times. Like I would never do that. So that was like probably 2009 or whatnot. And so I would do like a couple shows, and then you guys know my best friend passed away from cancer in 2016, and she was friends with Danny. So there were like 4 or 5 of us, so it was always weird because she'd have 2 tickets. So I was like, I'll get my own ticket, you take your sister, or you take Sabrina or whatever, and we'll meet up and whatever. And so she would she'd get like after show passes, but it would just be to like see Danny or whatever. And so we kind of, I think at that time we're like, oh well, we're like hooked up, or we're like we don't have to buy tickets or whatever. And or like, good tickets, because then we'd be like, oh, well, we'll see Danny. But it wasn't, I never even thought about any of that stuff. And so when people are telling me like, oh, I did my first 5-star or whatever in 2010 or 2011. And I'm like, wow, I missed all that. Like to us, it was like my 5 friends from high school that still liked them. And that was really, really it. And then Jackie and I had a falling out in 2010. And so I didn't really have anyone to do stuff with. So my best friend who lives in New York, Julie, we did all the NSYNC stuff together. And so I was like, okay, we'll just come, like, let's go to Vegas or come to LA and we'll plan a trip. And so I don't think she ever got into New Kids, but she would go with me. And so I was able to go to like more shows. But I mean, we would never buy, I never even thought about it. So I didn't do my first like meet and greet, whatever, 5-star, all that until 2015.
Oh wow.
And I mean, when they got back together, they did a thing with Ryan Seacrest on E, and my friend worked at E at the time, and they had sent out a mass email to all of the people and said like, hey, Nikki on the block are doing a thing with Seacrest. We just need like a few people. If you're a fan, you want to come down like from your office. We just need some girls. So they sent it to her, and she's like, well, I don't want to do it, but I'm going to ask my boss if you can come. So they literally let me come on. And I was the only person in there that didn't work there. And that's that picture that I have with all 5 of them. It's like an older picture that it's my, on Facebook. It's my background picture.
Oh my gosh. I get to see
cool. I'm going to go look right now.
Can you send it to us so we can put it on the website? Would you?
Yeah.
That? Okay.
Sure. So that was how I got that picture. And then, it was always like, I don't know. I guess I always thought like I would always be like, oh, hey, Danny. And he'd be like, how's Jackie? And I'm like, oh, she's fine, because I wasn't going to be like, oh, we don't talk,
Yeah.
And then, so the night of that show, I did the meet and greet, and she was sick at the time. I hadn't talked to her in like almost 4 years. And so ironically, the fire marshals that I work with called me and were like, hey, we know you like, because I'm friends with them on like Facebook, and they're like, we know you like New Kids on the Block. They, Live Nation just dropped off like a whole bunch of tickets. Do you want them? Can you give them away? And I was like, sure. So I like went and picked up the tickets, and I don't know, I guess that show didn't sell out or something. So all these people were calling me going like, oh, I have tickets. Can I drop them in your mailbox? So I had all these like, nosebleed tickets. But so I was like, I just posted it on Facebook, and all these people were like, I'll take them. And so I'd given away all these tickets. And my friend Sabrina calls me and was like, hey, is it okay if I take Jackie? And I was like, of course, dude. Like, it's New Kids. Like, I don't care. And she was like, okay, whatever. And then she texted me and said, like, I just wanted to thank you. I don't know if you know what's going on with me, but like, I couldn't afford to go, and I lost touch with Danny. And I was like, it's really funny because I planned to tell Danny, about your cancer and stuff. Even though her and I weren't friends, I was just going to like be like, hey, if you want to reach out to her, because I felt like maybe his info had changed or whatever. So sure enough, I did. And I was like so nervous, and was all strangers because I did the meet and greet by myself, and I met all these girls, and I had like 4 glasses of wine. They probably all thought I was crazy. And I was like crying and then I basically, Danny was like, oh, hey. And he's like, where's Jackie? And I was like, I need to talk to you about that. And then he was like, okay. And you know how Danny can be a little abrasive sometimes. So he was kind of like, okay, what? And I was like, and then he was like, and then I told him, and he was like, wait, what? And he's like, hold on. He's like, I need you to go stand over there. So he like had me stay. And then in between each picture, he would come over and be like, wait, what? Like, da, da, da. And then I was like, I haven't talked to her. Like, we haven't been friends. And he was like, do you have her number? And I'm like, yeah, she just texted me. Like, I think we just like made up right now. And then so he's like, well, I want to see her and blah, blah. So anyway, he arranged for us to come back. So I left. I waited for her. And it was like as if no time had passed. We were totally like, it was totally normal. And we were like laughing and joking, whatever. So he sent someone to come out and get us, and he upgraded us to bar stools. And we were like, and that's when I was like, okay, well, and I had second row, which was I never even sat in that seat, which was the one I bought. And I was like, yeah, I'm never going to be able to do anything else.
There's no going back.
Yeah. So ironically, her and I made up that night. We talked about everything. We squashed everything. It was really like a really amazing night, and having like those barstool seats, and, Danny came and like put his hat on and gave her his hat and sang to us and was making fun of us because we were pretty drunk. And then, and so her and I had talked about the cruise for months, at that time. And she was like, yeah, I can't do it. I was like, yeah, the crowds, blah, blah, blah. So we kind of said, well, let's go in like 2015 or 20? No, that was 2015. Yeah. So then we were like, okay, maybe we'll go in 2017. Because she had a wedding to go to in 2016. And I was like, yeah, 2017. Then we can get like bikini body ready and, anyway. So unfortunately she passed 10 months after that. But for those 10 months, we like talked every day, and we were like, I would go visit her. And when the night before she passed, they didn't tell us. They told her she had like 6 months to a year or something, because it had spread to her brain. And she told her husband, like in the hospital room, she was like, sorry, dude, I'm going on this cruise. Like, I'm not going to the wedding. And I was like, I'm going to go and sign us up tonight. And mind you, never done it. Didn't know anything about it. Didn't know how it worked or anything. So I went on the cruise, and then it said like wait list. And I was like, oh, it's like sold out. So I signed us up on the wait list. And she passed away the next day. And that was March 24th. And on May 25th, I got the email saying that we had a spot. So yeah, it's like so crazy. And so so I was gonna go with her sister, and then her sister's not really like a New Kids fan, and she really wanted to make it about Jackie. And I was like, you can't go on a boat and like tell strangers about a stranger. Like that's not what this is for. It's like if you're gonna go, you got to go for Jackie and enjoy it like Jackie would, Mm-hmm. So it ended up not really working out. We both decided that it was probably best if she didn't go. So my friend Jeanette, who was like a high school friend, who's still a friend, dear friend to this day, she was like, if I can get my husband to watch the kids, like I'll go with you. And I was like, okay. And so she ended up going with me, and we ended up having a really great time. And that's kind of where that's when I met Pearly, and I met all these people. So it's really funny. I feel like I know so many like blockheads and people that I've been places with, and they'll be like, I was at that show in 2011, and but I'd never known any of these people because I kind of lived in like my own little bubble. But it's been did you guys see the books that I gave the guys in Greenville that said All Because the Boys in the Band?
No.
So it's well, Nikki, I'm showing you even though people can't see it, but it's a book that I had made, and it has every person that I met up until whatever that was, July, that I met because of New Kids.
Oh wow.
And so I made copies of them, and I gave them to all of them, and they actually like stopped and looked at them, and they were like, this is really cool. And Donnie was like, hold on, let me see if you have any crazies in here. And he's like, you have a good picker. And he's like, I don't see anybody in here that shouldn't be in here. I was like, cool. Yeah. So, and it's so funny is even since then I was trying to see if you girls were in here. Did I not? Oh no, because I saw you after that.
Yep.
Yeah, I had this made in like the beginning of June, and then we took our picture at the end of June. So
yeah, do you have that picture
of the three of us?
Yeah.
Could you send it to us?
Absolutely.
Because I was like, who was I talking to? I think I was talking to you, Brooke, and I said, I know we took a picture together, but
yeah, I think you did say that.
But
and
we had a couple that night in Boston, and I was like, I could have sworn we took a picture, but I was like, maybe I'm just imagining it. But
so that was June of 2018, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I will. Okay. What was the other picture you wanted me to send, Brooke, or something?
The one of you with the guys from the E.
Oh my. Okay.
Yeah. And I can like message you the different pictures. I'm gonna write it down too.
Wait, that was not. Wow, I got my years wrong. I don't even know what day it is. I'm in
2019.
I know. I'm in 2018. Anyway, yeah. So that's kind of how I kind of came into this whole world. So, my first cruise was 2016. I mean, I've always kind of made friends easily, and so it's been really cool. So my whole point of that almost full story was that, I feel like all these people that I've met are basically that like Jackie sent me to take, to fill in for her. Yeah. So I've always kind of thought of it in that way. And it makes me like happy. It makes me feel good,
That's awesome.
And so that I could meet like all these amazing people and people that I, have things in common with. And most of my friends, I'm one of the few people that didn't get married or have kids. And so, for me, I have a lot of, and I do events for a living. So I'm always out and at parties and festivals and stuff. So it's a totally different world than most of my friends. So it's nice to have people that I can relate to and do things with that are on the same page, you know. And then now like the new kids people that I've become friends with, even if they're married and have kids, it's like their kids are grown, and so they can still travel and do whatever they want, you know.
Right. That's so cool. And you did a couple ultimates, right, this year? This past concert.
Yeah, the Barstool?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Did you do an ultimate? Like not individual, sorry, yes.
I did a lot,
because you did
actually.
a special thing for them, I believe. You did the bandanas.
Oh yeah, so well, those are my bandanas for my business.
Oh, okay.
And you know what, guys, I'm not finding that picture. I'll have to look for it again. They were actually props for my birthday party last year, which was, I do big themed birthday parties because I'm an event planner, so it's just kind of in my
it's fun.
So I did a Wild Wild West, and I made bandanas with the Rose logo to go with the theme.
Fun.
And I wanted to, like, at first I was gonna give them I have towels, like stage towels, you know, like with the rose on them. But I was like, I had given those to 98 Degrees, and they didn't bring them out on stage, and I was like, rude. So I'm kidding, but I was kind of like bummed. Like, I thought they would at least, like, I don't know,
like
whatever.
put one in their back pocket or something.
So I was talking to someone, I think my friend Nikki, and she was like, "Oh, I think the bandanas would be cool." So I really like prepped, and I had them all like shoved down my pants because I wasn't sure if they were gonna like let me bring them in or whatever. So when I walked in, I'm all like reaching behind my jeans, and they were like looking at me like, "What is she doing?" And so I just that was my first individual ever. And I just walked in and started talking and kind of was like, okay, like, I need everyone's attention, like, gather around. And they were all like, oh, okay. So it was really cool. And then all of a sudden I realized that they were all standing there. Literally, it was like all 5 of them staring at me, like totally attentive, like
crazy.
Listening. And I just went, hold on, I'm sorry. I was like, when in my life am I going to have all 5 of you standing here staring at me? Just give me a second. And then Donnie goes, take your time. And I was like, all right. So anyway, so you guys know, like, I wear a rose, and it was funny because out of all of them, like, Jordan and Joe were the most interested in hearing like what I had to say, which was very, it changed drastically towards the end. But for that first one, they were really like, and then John was like, oh yeah, he's like, Joe's like, well, yeah, I want to know what do you do for a living? And then I was like, I just explained it to you guys, but I guess it like didn't really translate in my like excited babble. So yeah, so I was like, oh, I want to take a picture with the bandanas, and they all just did whatever they wanted with them, and then we took that picture. So yeah, I did a lot of shows this year to make up for lost time.
Yeah.
You know, and it was the first year that I could, and so I was just kind of, you know, I'm sure you guys can relate that,
totally.
You know, when you lose somebody and you think about all the things that they can't do or they could have done that they didn't do, or things that you couldn't do together, you know, it's kind of, I guess, like, you know, typical, I can't think of the word right now, but it's typical, like, you say that, but I really felt it, and I really changed how I live my life. And I changed, you know, I've been a little bit of a brash person. Like, if you ask people that work for me, I can be, you know, maybe not so nice or very firm, or not always in the best way. And so, you know, I became a nicer person, a more giving person, a more, to say that I don't care what people think about me would be a lie. But what people think about me, I remind myself, is none of my business. And so when it bothers me, I just kind of go like, oh, well, that's their problem. You know what I mean? So
yep.
I just started to live my truth and and say like, okay, so I mean, I've seen screenshots of messages of people, you know, making up things about why I was able to go to those shows. I've had people tell me stories about people I know, like, oh, she's got a rich husband. And I'm like, no, she doesn't. Like, she works. And it's like, and it's crazy. But, you know, my friends always say I'm unapologetically me. And so that's like something that really rings true to me, is that I really am. And like, I'm not perfect. And I get that I'm fortunate and other people don't, you know, weren't able to maybe even go to one show or whatever, you know what I mean? And I'm aware of that, but like, this is my life and my truth and my moment. And you can't, you know, I can't not drive a car because when I drive down 6th Street, there's homeless people. I mean, you can't do that. You know what I mean? So, so I decided to kind of like go for it. And some of the people in my industry were like, I'm so confused. Like, are you on tour with New Kids? Because in my world, it's like people can't imagine that I would be like paying for this stuff and like a fan. And they're like, but you're like friends with them. They like give you tickets, right? And I'm like, yeah, no. And they're like, wait, what? So it's funny, you know, but yeah, so that last year was pretty amazing. That was the first time I'd really, you know, in 2017 I went to like I think 7 shows the whole year, including the iHeartRadio thing. But then, you know, when they announced New York and that whole thing, I was like, I was going to Chicago for Jenny's poker tournament. So I just decided to change everything around, and I made it a longer vacation, went to New York, and then went straight to St. Charles from New York.
Oh, wow.
That was amazing. That was such an amazing experience. And that's where I met a lot of all the East Coast girls that I'm friends with. I met them all there. It was like a year ago. So yeah, so that was pretty, that last year was awesome.
It was.
Last year
was awesome.
This year, January was cool. I went to New York to see Joe. You guys went to that show, right?
No.
In Red Bank?
Nope.
Oh, you didn't?
We bought tickets for The Wanderer and
yeah. Yeah, I was still looking for tickets for The Wanderer for June. But I didn't know how busy my June would be. Mm-hmm. My events book like really fat, like really late.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I gotta wait. I kept telling my friends, I gotta wait. But we went to what was it called?
Oh my god! I can't remember. Why can't I remember?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, whatever.
I can't.
The show in Red Bank, New Jersey. I mean, I went like 3 times in 1 week, but and then I went to Blue Bloods, and that was the first time I had been to like the set before and like took pictures with the sign, but I saw Donnie outside when I went a couple years ago, but this was really cool. And I sat with him, like, and he'd shoot and come sit with me and talk, and we had some really good conversations. And it's just kind of like I let go of my nervousness and my nervous energy and my like fangirl kind of, and was like, this person has literally been part of my life for 30 years. Like it has to stop. Like I got to stop. And it worked. It was very like adult conversation, and you know what I mean? But it was kind of a really, really amazing experience. And then some of my other friends, my friend from the UK, my friend Rachel, and girl from Jersey, Joe, they were there too, and so we all hung out in between takes and stuff. So we had a really good time.
That's fun.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I would love to do that sometime. That would be fun. I mean,
how many kids do you have?
I have 2, but they're older.
Oh, okay.
So I have the ability to go places and do things that I wouldn't probably if they were little. So
I have one, and she's 7. So it's a little harder.
Yeah, that is harder.
Yeah. But you still do. You still do go.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I do what I can, which is I think more than what a lot of other people probably could do.
Sure, for sure.
I'm pretty lucky.
I also think if I was on the East Coast, it'd be a whole different ballgame. I feel like there's so much East Coast. I would be like, oh, what? They're in Boston. Let's go.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's like a 2-hour drive to everywhere.
Right.
Right.
Right. That's. I mean, when there's stuff in Boston, it's pretty easy for us to go, even though we're about 4 hours away. That's nothing, you know. So we try to make sure that we
it's an easy drive.
Yeah.
It's like going to Vegas for us.
Yeah.
Same drive.
Yeah.
If you drive fast enough and you're excited enough, it's 3.5 hours.
Hey.
Exactly.
That's our dream. That's our dream.
I like to fly now. What?
New Kids on the Block in Vegas, to do it again.
You never saw them in Vegas?
No.
Really?
Yeah, we missed out on that.
Well, I didn't go to the After Dark thing because my friend was getting married that weekend. I tried. Don't think I didn't. I tried to go. I tried to go like Thursday and then fly to, and it was in it was like in the Catskills. Oh. And so I was like, there's no way that I'm gonna be able to like fly to like Westchester Airport and like try, you know what I mean? It was just like, it was really just way too hard. And so I missed that one, but I've seen them, you know, like on tour. And this time I didn't go because I was exhausted. Mm-hmm. I think I did like 9 shows in a row or something crazy. Wow. Like, yeah. And then I ended up I added Bakersfield. I added Atlanta. I added something else. Oh, Charlotte. Like, yeah, I added like weird Raleigh. No, Charlotte. One of those. But I added shows like as we were going. And then, you know, all the flights got canceled when I went to Borgata.
That's right.
And so I had to drive to Raleigh, and I was not going to Atlanta so I could go see my friend in Tampa. And I was like, if I miss that flight or it gets canceled or something happens, I was like, I can't. So I canceled going there and was like, well, I'm in Atlanta. I might as well. Luckily, my friends I was traveling with all had a room, so I was able to stay there with them. And then we all moved, you know, went on to our next destination. But yeah, that was
wow.
Yeah, I remember that. Wow. Well, this has been awesome. And
I know.
It's been
Elle
fun.
had stories for days.
Yes.
I do. I feel like I talked too much.
No. What are you talking about? No.
It's perfect.
No.
That's perfect. And we'll have to do it again because I know that there's more.
I was just gonna say I'm sure there's a ton more that we're missing out on. So we'll have to have you back on.
That'd be awesome. It's fun.
So seriously, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I feel honored.
Yeah, it's fun to hear the perspective of people who were like really into it in the early days too.
Mm-hmm.
To hear like, oh my gosh, Maury Starr took me into a room and I met New Kids on the Block, and they did the same reaction. They all were looking at you like they were in your meet and greet.
Yeah, basically.
So, well, thank you
That's
so
amazing.
much. And again, we'll have you on again if you would do us that favor.
That honor.
On again. Yeah.
Oh, you're silly. Absolutely.
Awesome.
It would be great.
Well, thank you so much. And
thank you, Elle. We love you.
Yes, we love
Brooke,
you.
I'm giving you extra hugs.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, ladies. Thank you so much. And thanks for always being so positive and lovely and wonderful and cheering everyone on, even though you guys are going through your own shit. So I really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.